Peter, we'll start with you.
Tunaanza na wewe.
How do you feel ahead of the trial?
Unajisikia mbele ya procès?
Niko tayari tu kuipokea gesi vimefika. Basi tunashukuru tu Mungu na nashukuru hata lawyer wangu kuendelea kufuatilia hii mambo. Tunangoja hiyo tarehe ifike tuone yenyewe vitatokezea.
I'm just getting ready. We are getting ourselves ready for the trial. I'm thanking God a lot for being with us, and I also want to thank Attorney Johnson, Commissioner Womack for standing up with us and keep fighting for the justice of our son.
Will the trial be emotional for you to sit through? How are you preparing?
Anasema procès itakuwa emotionnel kwako, uko unajipreparea ye kwenda a travers le procès.
Ni kila mara tu unayua wananirudisha mwa ile kitu, wananirudisha mwa ile machozi. Basi nitaendelea kujikaza gisi najikaza tu juu hakuna gisi nitafanya juu aliendelea kubirefusha ndo maana vinaendelea kuniumiza sana roho.
Say yes, it's just every time they bring all those picture, those memory, it's heartbroken, and the hardest part is they made it longer. So we are here now. My heart is still broken, and especially that when I will see those images again, it will hurt a lot.
What do you want people to know about your son?
Unataka watu wajue nini juu ya mtoto wako Patrick?
Kila mara mimi nasema dunia yote iliona kifo cha Patrick, na wandugu na makomuniti yalienda kunisaidia. Basi napenda dunia yote ione kwa kweli kama hii nchi kama kweli ina sheria. Tunataka tupate sheria juu ya kifo cha Patrick. Ingawa vimekawia, lakini tunataka tupate sheria juu ya kifo cha Patrick.
Everybody saw, the entire world, United States, everybody saw what happened to Patrick. As a parent, as a father, the only thing that I would be asking the more is just justice for my son, justice for Patrick. I'm not asking about anything else. It's about justice for him. That's what I'm asking.
Have you been able to begin to heal without justice? Has this long period prevented you from closure?
Anauliza se kama ulikuwa na possibility ya kupata guérison kidogo. Hii processus gisi na kia mrefu hivi ili kusaidia wale ilikulumiza tena?
Ilinilumiza zaidi tena zaidi sana. Juu mtu mwenye alishaua mtu, na tuko mwinchi banasema ni nchi ya sheria. Kuona vitu sawa vile kifo cha Patrick kinaenda mpaka miaka 3. Hakuna yani roho tu inaendelea tu, hakuna uvumilivu.
Yes, I'm looking at the way that everything is said. It took too long, and we are in the country where they say they call it a country of justice. There's no way I can have peace, I can have healing as long that I haven't get the justice for my son, especially how they make it long. My heart is still broken. My heart is still bleeding because I just want justice for my son. The only thing I'm asking is justice for my son.
Anything else you would like to add?
Huko kitu ingine unatafuta kuongeza?
Kitu chenye naweza kuongeza, mimi naona sawa kwenye tuko tunaelekea mwelekeo wake, sijui kama utakuwa vizuri juu hii nia wamekamata ya kusema wawerefushe mpaka leo kwa miaka 3. Sijui wana nia gani juu ya Patrick. Sasa mimi najiuliza, ingekuwa Patrick yeye ndo amemuua ule polisi, kama kweli Patrick iko nyumbani.
Okay. One thing I'm asking, I just want to add, is to see how they have taken long for this justice to be done for my son. The question that I always ask, if it was Patrick or mother, sure. Just a question, very simple, I'm asking to everybody who's listening to us. Do you think really Patrick was going to be at home? Do you really think that Patrick was going to be free, or Patrick will be in jail, or justice will be served? So every time when I think about that, that's what really hurt and break my heart.
Definitely. Peter will be there at trial, right?
Yes.
Along with his wife?
Yes.
What about brothers and sisters, Runu?
Watoto watakuwa navo siku ya procès?
Ndio wenye watakuwa tayari watafika pale, lakini wamingi hawapendaki waende kuviona tena juu vinabalumizaga sana.
Yes, those that will be ready, who are not going to be in school, they will be, but most of them, they don't like really to see those images because they break their heart so bad. But the one that will be ready, feeling to come, they will come.
Ben, what's at stake here? This trial is not just a big deal here, but everywhere in this country. We talk about this issue.
Justice, fairness, equality under the law, all of them, I think, are at issue, Jacqueline. This case, to me, is no different than George Floyd. Our country watched that on video, and then we watched a criminal trial in the state court. We didn't see it in the federal court because they don't allow cameras in federal court. Talk about that in a minute. But so they saw the process, and if you look at it, the process was much quicker than it is here in Michigan because of all the appeals that are allowed under the law here in Michigan as a part of governmental immunity and sovereign immunity, which we think are incredibly unfair and unconstitutional, be thrown out. But they won't be, not right now. They should be, but they won't be. So we believe that our criminal justice system is on trial. We believe that ultimately our civil justice system is on trial because in addition to those 3 years that we've now waited, just a few Fridays ago, as you know, April 4, our civil case hasn't moved on at all. I haven't even taken a deposition of a person yet because of the various appeals that Schurr's civil team and Grand Rapids civil team are delaying, denying, and defending that case. So it'll even be longer. And even in a perfect world, which it's not, you're looking at 1.5 to 2 years from now for the civil case to even be set for trial. So it is an incredibly long road, and I hope as part of this process, thank you for being here, thank you for covering this. I hope that we as a community, as a society, as United States, and what we believe to be a model for the world, look at ourselves and say, this isn't right. It should not take 3 years to get here, criminally or civilly. What are we doing wrong? Because it sends the message that the family has told you about from day one, Jacqueline, and they still feel even worse about it today because of how different it would be if the roles were reversed.
What's the question that's going before the jury? I mean, we're going to see a video. We know what happened.
It's a great question. Really, if we're going to pare it down to a simple issue, it's going to be a factual issue. Schurr's going to testify. He has to. He has to, right? Because only he can talk about his state of mind when he pulled that trigger while he was on top of Patrick, while Patrick was on the ground, and while Schurr had the gun to the back of Patrick's head.
You think he's going to testify?
He has to. Yes, I do. Because he needs to say what, for police in this situation, are the magic words. I was in fear for my life that if I didn't shoot him right that second, he was going to kill me. Mark my words, that'll be his testimony. That's what they always say.
How is Prosecutor Becker going to counter that?
You're going to hear more technical talk about the taser and what Schurr knew that's really floated kind of under the radar through now. And I know you and I talked about this from the very beginning, but it's not as sexy for people to talk about, and I mean that in terms of issues for people in John and JQ public to hear. Schurr pulled the trigger, sorry to point that at you, of his taser twice. No more probes after 2 pulls. How do I know, and how I know how Mr. Becker is going to prove that? Because you can hear it on the video. The whirring is what it's called, W-H-I-R-R-I-N-G, whirring sound, whirring of the taser. And once Schurr pulled the trigger twice, and we know we have the download of the taser now, we know that he knew it was semi-inoperable. No more probes could come out. And what are they all saying? Oh, Patrick took the taser away from him. That's what they say, even though you can't see that on the video. So what's Schurr going to say? Oh yeah, he took the taser away from me and I thought he was going to kill me with it. You mean the taser that's not, it can be a deadly weapon, but it is not actually registered as a deadly weapon. It's lesser levels of force. And the only thing that would have worked is that drive stun, sorry, Peter, where if it touches the skin and if the trigger is pulled, it can then give a shock to that sole area of the body as opposed to the full body. But what you're going to hear about is this particular model had certain safety devices where, depending on which expert you listen to, they're going to tell you that the drive stun provision probably wouldn't have worked at all. And let's not forget, Patrick wasn't police trained to use tasers. Tasers are illegal for citizens to use. So how would Patrick have known about the drive stun? So what Schurr knew when he shot Patrick in the back of the head, even if he's right in telling the truth, which we don't think he is, but even if Schurr's right that Patrick had the taser, it was meaningless and would have done nothing to Schurr. That makes his belief, what he'll say his belief was, unreasonable under the law. That's the central issue.
And so that's what the jury's going to have
Yes, ma'am.
to figure out.
That's really it. That's really it. All this other stuff, really, will they think about it? I'm sure. Will they talk about it? I'm sure. But that's what really matters the most in this criminal case, as it will be in our civil case.
Is it unusual for a police officer to testify in a case like this? Like you said, it's you know exactly what he's going to say. I can't remember in the George Floyd trial if those officers testified or not.
Okay. Well, they didn't. The video was more clear in that case than it was here. So we don't have the taser being shown in the video as to Patrick allegedly having it. So Schurr's going to have to give that testimony in order to get that into evidence, number one. Number two, Schurr's going to have to give that testimony that he believed he was going to be killed unless he killed Patrick. So to me, is there a doubt? No, there's not a doubt. In Floyd, because so many different angles and so many different videos existed, nothing that that former officer could say would have helped him, right? He did not. So is there an issue where he doesn't have to? He being Schurr doesn't have to testify? That's what his lawyers are being paid, whatever they're being paid to represent him on? He will in this case. He's going to have to save his own skin.
Anything else you want to add? People should know?
From our perspective, we want everyone in the community, but I want Commissioner Womack to address this because he does such a great job in that community, in our community. But on behalf of the family, please, right, let justice prevail, even though we're not 100% happy about how long it's taken in certain aspects of it, but it is the system. The family has been as patient as they could possibly be. They've been phenomenal. What we want is we want there to be peace. We want no violence. We want nothing but professionalism in the courtroom on all sides. And if people have ideas, if people have viewpoints, First Amendment says they can do them. Well, let's just remember the family doesn't want to hear about them. With all due respect to Schurr family, they don't want to hear that from our people in the middle of trial and so forth, where it's a spectacle, and we don't want that. So we're going to be abiding by the law. The family will be, as they have from day one. We're calling for peace, but Commissioner, please.
What is your message to the community as they're watching this trial? It's going to be very, very upsetting given the images that will be shown.
First, we thank them that there has been no violence leading up to this case, thanks to the work of Ven Johnson, other attorneys that gave the community hope that this would make it through the justice system and finally make it to trial. Because 10 out of 10 times an officer doesn't get even charged, or a family never sees their day in court. But we're asking them to continue to be peaceful through the trial, after the trial. Nobody knows which way the verdict is going to go, but it's now in the hand of a jury. And once it's in the hand of a jury, we're going to have to accept what comes out of that. Also, I have a message to the city of Grand Rapids that every person in City Hall that saw this video understands the pain that Peter Lyoya is unnecessarily going through because an officer made a U-turn on somebody based upon their appearance. He could not see the license plate. So I really want to see the city of Grand Rapids step up, take their accountability. The fact that we have a new chief that was only there 2 weeks before Patrick was shot, and he's now instituted jujitsu training so that when officers are on the ground, they have more options. And that would have probably saved the life of Patrick Lyoya. So that proves that the training that was there before he came was inadequate to handle a basic traffic stop. And so many young people, the fight or flight response, sometimes choose to run, and there's penalties for that when you run, but the penalty is not shooting someone in the back of the head. So I hope that the city will come to the table and take care of this family so they can have some type of justice. After waiting 3 years, even for the trial, I can understand Peter Lyoya's pain, suffering, and the disrespect that he sees in America.
The Lyoya family has been just the picture of peace leading up to this. How do you convey that to people who might want to not be peaceful because they are upset when they see this trial?
I continue to tell the public that the Lyoya family has been peaceful through all their pain, and we need the community to mirror that. But I've also been in debates just the last week with other elected officials who may use profanity or their emotions, and it's good to see that they want to support, but I let them know we have to be a beacon for the youth, because they're the ones that will take that energy and maybe end themselves up in prison, maybe end themselves hurting somebody that they think is a sympathizer of the police, or maybe hurt somebody just because they're in the wrong place at the wrong time. We have to be very responsible for our vernacular right now, because the youth, some are still in jail from the riots. And I was the only elected official that was there, boots on the ground in the middle of the George Floyd riots in Grand Rapids. So I felt the energy of the youth, and I'm glad Peter and the Lyoya families are being leaders at the same time that they go through their pain, leaders and voices for peace.
My last question for you very quickly. We're not in Grand Rapids, you are. How big of a deal is this trial going to be? This has been something looming in that city for 3 years.
It's major. It's one of the most important, if not the most important trial in the history of Grand Rapids, Michigan.